welcome to the Gaff. First time I've done it in the Gaff in a good few months now, so good to have you here. You have your coffee on hand and you're ready to go.
It's good little setting, very relaxed, so yeah, it's grand.
How's the day going so far? What was on the agenda?
Nothing, I'm still jet lagged.
Yeah,
I'm still jet lagged. So I got back last Wednesday and I was in New York for a few months, so I'm coming around slowly. Normally I'm a man in routine, I'd be asleep by 11 o'clock, awake by 7, but I'm just completely out of sorts at the moment. So I think it's like maybe 2 o'clock, 2:30 when I got to sleep last night. I woke up like at 10:30, which is it's unknown for me. I'm slowly getting back into it. It's like an hour each day, it's coming around a little bit earlier.
Does that affect your training? Because do you prefer training in the morning or in the evening? Because I know boxers generally it's either early morning or late evening.
Yeah, well, I'd normally do my boxing at night and then I'd either be running or strength and conditioning in the morning. But I'm coming back from injury at the moment.
It's the shoulder, is it?
Shoulder, yeah. So at the moment I'm only doing one session a day. Because I took a small break as well. Just doing a bit of partying in New York.
Easy place to do it.
Easy place to do it. So while I'm coming back, I don't want to jump the gun and overdo things. You know yourself with a background and strength and conditioning. You could do too much too soon.
Yeah.
I know my shoulders at me, but I could pull up with a groin or a hamstring or something. So yeah, I'm just taking it slowly at the moment.
How is rehab going for the shoulder? Is it going as best as you could be expected, or is it kind of a bit frustrating at the moment?
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating. A little bit slower than I thought. So I'm like coming up with 4 months post operation now. So I'm looking at it, could be a cortisone injection on top of the operation just to try to speed things up. It is getting frustrating. So there's a number of things they've done. Those like 2 ligaments that you have to tidy up, then there's like a bursa sac in your joint, you have to partially remove that and you have to shave a bit of the bone away. Now the bursa sac and the bone feels fully recovered, but the tendons just aren't enough to scratch it. The range of motions come back, but maybe I'm just not doing enough strength work, or I don't know.
You're orthodox, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's your lead hand, like.
Lead hand, yeah. It's just frustrating.
Are you feeling under pressure at all to get back because of the looming kind of foot into professionalism?
Yeah, like I still haven't 100% decided what I'm doing. And I'm not going to decide that until the shoulder is recovered. But yeah, I am, because I went 41 the other day, so I've 3 to 6 years left in the sport. But I want to hit the ground running as well. I don't want to, the longer it takes, you're losing momentum from the Olympics. Like it's getting further and further away in people's minds. So you want to sort of, what they say, make hay while the sun shines. Yeah. You want to make the most of the Olympics, and it's just very unfortunate that I couldn't. And that's something I sort of played on me mentally. Wouldn't say I went into depression and that, but very, very stressed because you spent 20 years getting to the pinnacle of the sport and you can't capitalise on it because you're injured. And I probably made a lot of bad decisions after that as well, where I should have gotten the operation literally when I got back from Tokyo. We tried a cortisone injection and I felt that was working, but it wasn't 100% right. And then we got the operation in January. I feel like it could have been 4 or 5 months ahead, but we sort of made the wrong choices.
The trouble is as well, going into professional boxing, is the increase in the amount of rounds in the fight. So it has to last a lot longer than it would in an amateur fight.
Exactly, and that's why I'm not making the choice if I'm 100% going professional until maybe another month or so, until I see how this is healing. Because I'm waiting now to tolerate 10 rounds of boxing or 12 rounds of boxing. I might only have to tolerate 3 rounds, and then, well, that's the professional man's gone.
Well, for the time being, I suppose. Yeah.
But then you look at your age again. So it would be then you're focusing on the next Olympics, and then that's it. That's the program's gone. But look, either or.
But there are lads that turn pro very, very late now as well. Not so much, I suppose, within professional boxing, or within amateur boxing, it's hard to get that momentum from a media standpoint behind you. But there are guys that cross over from other sports into boxing, but I suppose they already have that presence.
Yeah, it's just, it depends how big of a reputation and popularity you have. Obviously, the likes of these people are probably the likes of Sonny Bill Williams and stuff like that, who are household names, and there's a few others. I think there's some fella off Jersey Shore or Geordie Shore, I don't know his name is. He's actually training with Michael Conn. I think he done a little bit of MMA, but he's like maybe 34, 35. He's had to sign a contract there with Sky Sports. He's only making his debut soon. But yeah, he's a lot of popularity, maybe 2 million followers on Instagram. So it's a lot easier for him to do because he's going to sell so many tickets.
Does that frustrate you, or is it the opposite? You think it's getting eyes on boxing? Because there's a few people in Australia crossing over from rugby league, kind of similar to what Sonny Bill is doing. And like, I know it's great that athletes are doing it and crossing over, and maybe sometimes when they do it, the standard of the fight is a little bit better. But sometimes when you see these YouTubers come in, it's like watching a fucking white collar boxing at times.
It doesn't. To be honest, it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
You always have some sort of opinion on it. Yeah, look, like Jake Paul, he's getting people paid. Yeah, I read a woman, Amanda Serrano, fought for a world title, and she got paid $1,500. And then she fought again, she got paid $10,000, which is none for a world title fight. And now she's getting paid seven figures. So obviously there's negatives. You have to look at these dopes trying to box, but they're getting people paid. They're getting actual fighters paid, and they're bringing attention to the sport. So yeah, there's pros and cons. I'd rather they just went into the promotion side and just didn't bother with the boxing, because I wouldn't be waiting up to look at them.
I suppose it's kind of a short term. They have to do the couple of fights so that people at least know that they're in the boxing sphere, and then if they transition into the promoting and just promote it there, mate. Don't bother getting in the ring.
Jake Paul is the only trying to get UFC fighters properly paid and properly looked after, with like hospital bills, and he's trying to just really look after them as after the sport. So he's probably doing better for the sport than what Dana White has done. He's trying to get these people who are actually taking the trauma to the brain and taking the hits and getting choked out. He's trying to get them properly paid. He's trying to get them pensions, aftercare. So there is a lot of good to what they're doing. And I suppose they have the popularity to get always actually thinking, oh well, Dana White might actually go for the sport this fella is. So yeah, there is a lot of good to them.
Absolutely. That is the drawback or the negative of combat sports, I suppose, is that the athletes are very, very expendable. You're the best in the world, you're the great white hope one day, and then a couple of months later, it's like, who are you? Like, you're out of it.
If you look at Canelo the other day, for me, I still think he's a pound for pound best fighter in the world, and it's on Twitter yesterday, and just like the stick he's getting, but these are off everyday people that have never stepped in the ring, never laced up their gloves, and he's washed up, he bit off more than he can chew. That man was trying to look. There's concerns that he took steroids before, but look, he's gone up to light heavyweight. He's trying to create a legacy for himself. He's putting himself really out of his comfort zone a lot more than the average person will ever do, and you can't knock a man for that.
It's nuts.
You got beaten. Everyone takes a loss in their life, if it's in sport or in their personal life, in work life, wherever it is. Everyone takes a knock.
But like heavyweight, he's not big man. It's nuts.
He's 5'7" or 5'8", but I'm 5'11", so I have 3 inches on him, and I wouldn't even be fighting on light heavyweight.
And he won rounds, as well, was the other thing.
He won rounds. Now, I felt a bit Bivol as a class act. I had a really strong feeling that he was going to get beaten, but in the back of my head, I was like, it's Canelo Alvarez. He'll find a way to win. But I wasn't surprised with the result. Bivol's a beast. He's someone that I've been following him for years. He just does the basics really, really well. There's nothing flashy about him. He's a very, very humble man as well. but a fantastic athlete.
That was the lesson I took from it anyway, is like, you think to beat these world-class fighters, you have to do something completely outside of the box. But he just came straight down the middle. Like,
I think the biggest thing that won him that fight was discipline. He stayed to the game plan for 12 rounds. There was points in the fight where Canelo was putting pressure on him, and it would have been very, very easy to get drawn into a fight and completely forget about the game plan. But to have that discipline, that's the difference between a good fighter and an elite fighter. He could keep that going for 12 rounds.
And like on the other side of it as well, fair play to Canelo, because Bivol said he did hurt me. Like, he said his arm was in bits.
Yeah, again, that's one of Canelo's game plans. So when he's fighting taller people, he done it against a lad, Callum Smith. They fought for the silver middleweight world title, and Callum Smith got out of the ring. His bicep was out like that. But for that, maybe the first 8 rounds, it was.
Is it to drop the guard? Is it so he drops the guard? Yeah.
Callum Smith's really, really high guard. And he's burying shots into the bicep, and eventually, like, you can't hold your hands up. But for the first 8 rounds, it was so noticeable against Callum Smith, and you could see the picture after his biceps. Like, it looked like it was ruptured. It was out here. It was so swollen. But it's a game plan, and that's what boxing's about. Whoever has the better game plan, whoever can execute it, if they have the talent, they'll win the fight.
That's what we need as well, though, for the sport, is the best of the best fighting each other, isn't it? Like, and
that's what you got there with Canelo and Bivol. That's Canelo trying to create legacy. He's not backing away from fighters. So there's like 4 world titles now, so you can choose the easiest opponent if you want. You can choose the easiest world title, but he went for the best of the best, and he fell short. So
same thing with Taylor Serrano, best of the best fighting each other. Like, and that's
the best.
You can see the eyes that are on it now, like, because of that.
I was at that fight, and it's on an atmosphere. If it was Taylor against someone else, I don't think he would have gotten that atmosphere, because it was the best of the best, and not only was it the best of the best in terms of fighters, it was Puerto Ricans against Irish, so you got the best of the best in the atmosphere. And I'd say the stadium was probably maybe 60-40, 70-30 in favour of Taylor, but the Puerto Ricans were loud. They were there to cheer for the girl, and they made the atmosphere, because the fight itself was 50-50, so it was back and forth between the fans. It was, I don't think even if they do it again, even if it's in Pro Park, I don't think you'll ever beat that atmosphere.
Like, the referee couldn't hear the bell. Like, that's how loud it was.
It was crazy. It was like, you knew you were witnessing history. I knew that from the start of the week that I was witnessing history, and I was just very proud to be there. And at the time, we actually thought she got beaten when I was at the fight. And I think, looking back, I think it was because of round 5 was so favourable towards Serrano. I thought that when a round is so big, it's only 1 round, but that's what I went into the next round and the round after, where I was like, oh Jesus, like a negative impact in their brain. But then I looked at her back twice, and Taylor won the fight. That's
the use of watching it on the telly rather than watching it live, because you have the commentary there.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can go the other way, and the commentators could be so biased.
Yeah. Then while I was thinking that, I was also thinking, so I always complain about judges, and then I was also thinking, how hard will it be for a judge to judge this fight when you have so much going on in the background? Like, I thought she got beaten on the line, so I can see how a judge might score a fight wrong. Now, I thought she got beaten by maybe a round. I think the scorecards are quite wild. Either way, I think there were like 4 points to Serrano, and then 4 points to Taylor, and then maybe 5 points to Taylor. I'm not sure exactly how it was judged, but I can definitely see how judges get it wrong, especially when there's so much on the line and there's so much noise coming from the crowd.
That's the thing, like, it's hard to know how the judge is going to score it, because it's so objective. And that's the problem with it. It's like some judges reward activity, whereas like some judges reward actual clean shots. So you don't know what you're getting.
And again, so I went to fights in New York. I went to Golden Gloves. These are amateur fights, and if you're in New York, you just go forward and throw punches and you win the fight.
Really?
They don't. They basically score aggression. I went to a fight, and it was actually a friend of mine over there was fighting, I thought he won the fight. He was on the back foot for the whole fight, but he was countering the lad lovely. Now it was a close fight, but he definitely scored more volume of punches and cleaner shots where he got beaten on the split decision. But I could see that coming because I know how the judges score over there. Now that's amateur boxing, but then again it's subjective. You might be looking for the cleaner shots, or you might be looking for aggression. Then I don't know if a lot of these judges actually ever fought. Yeah, I don't think they have. I don't think that's the criteria. And the criteria to be a judge, you should be coming from a boxing background, and that should be a no-brainer.
That's mad for me to hear that they haven't fought, like, or even coached or anything.
I'm not 100% that going. I would be. Yeah, I don't think that's the criteria. You have ever had the boxer. You have to have a boxing background. So then, like, for the everyday Joe So, you're looking at someone being an aggressor. You think they win the fight, even if they're getting hit all the time. Because I've been to the national stadium loads of times, and I'm with people that don't know boxing, and I'm looking at a counter boxer, like boxing the ears off someone, and they're not seeing that. They're just seeing someone running at the counter boxer and throwing punches, and they think the aggressor won. So if you don't really have a boxing background, it's hard to score a fight properly.
Not even just a boxing background, but like there's nothing like being in the ring there, like, and someone throwing punches at you.
Yeah, like even that's one thing that I always say to someone, like, you should. I think every person in the world should experience being in the ring just once, just having one fight, and it's not even that's the nerves before the fight. It's how you react in that when there's so much pressure on you, you don't know what's coming at you. Someone's literally coming running at you, trying to take your head off. It's how you react, and it's like the whole fight or flight thing. You will actually, like my old coach said, Derek used to always say, like, bring someone down to a boxing club and you'll find the character. There's no way to hide it, and you'll always find someone's character, whether they wanna quit or they want to stay. And that's actually normally who makes it to the top in boxing. I've been around boxers that have been so much more talented than me, but they gave up because, I don't know, personal reasons or stuff got in the way. But it's normally whoever sticks you out to the most will do the best.
Is that why you are so excited to get into the professional game? And is that why you moved to New York specifically? Because you're that aggressive, come forward, never quit type of fighter?
There's reasons why I wanted to move to New York. So I went over in November just to try it out, and I'm not saying Irish people don't support their own, but I think Irish people abroad support their own a lot more than Irish people in Ireland.
Definitely.
And that's not taking a dig at them. I just think when you're abroad, you want to latch on to something Irish.
There's more togetherness or something of the community.
You want to identify as Irish, and you want to get behind Irish people, and you really want to back them. So we went over in November, and straight away I had like 10, maybe 20 people trying to help me out. Like, I have somewhere to stay, do you want a job? I'll try to get this fella to sponsor you. And like, this is stuff that I've never heard of in Ireland, so I was like, Jesus Christ. And then boxing's a little bit dead in Ireland at the moment, but professional boxing. So it was either America or maybe England or Australia. Australia's a little bit too far away. I really get on with my family, and I really enjoy being around them. 24 hours on a flight is a long time. UK, very, very hard for Irish people to get, for English people to get behind an Irish person in the UK. So the only other choice I had was Boston and New York. I have a lot of friends in New York. So as I said, I went off to them in November, tried it out, loved the city, but there's a lot of distractions there. As we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of distractions. So there's as I said, these people are all away from home. A lot of them are single. A lot of them, it's their first time being away from home. So the socialising aspect, there's a lot involved around alcohol. A lot of them work in bars.
They're Irish as well.
They're Irish on top of. I thought Irish people are bad at drinking. Americans are worse. So it's a different culture. Like an Irish person, well, me anyway, you'd sit down, you maybe go to the pub, and maybe have 10 points throughout the day, and you'd be drunk, but you wouldn't be completely, like, you wouldn't know where you are. But the Americans have a shot with every drink. They want to just get drunk as quick as they can, as fast as they can, and they get palatic drunk.
Do they know how to appreciate a pint? Like,
not really. You know what I mean? Every drink there's a shower, and just completely different culture. I sort of got drawn into that, and I was like, "Geez, I can't do this anymore." It's not how I like socialism. So there's a lot of positives in New York, but there's a lot of negatives, and there's a lot of things that could possibly hold me back from doing well. So, but at least I've experienced that, and I'm not going to be blind to it if I want to do head back.
Is that the biggest challenge then in being in New York? Is the distractions, do you reckon?
Yeah, the lifestyle.
How do you combat that then yourself? Is it just saying no to people?
No, it's probably the same way as I combat it here. You meet friends in different circumstances, so you don't meet them in the pub for a few points. Obviously, because you're fighting, they might be meeting for lunch or have a coffee. Or see, the good thing about it is as well, there's so much sports over there. Like you have the basketball, hockey, you have the American football, you have baseball. I think you have soccer as well there now. We have New York, 2 teams in New York, so you can go to games. There's literally a game on every night, a concert on every night, and there's quizzes. There's so much things happening there. So there's a lot of things there that don't involve alcohol. And that's what I don't come up to the Olympics. I still see my friends, but it would have been maybe for lunch on a Saturday. I'll go for a coffee or a walk on Saturday morning. So it'll be similar to that, just staying away from, like, not putting yourself in the situation where you can probably F up. Yeah, that's probably the best way to combat it. But like a lot of New York involves around going to the pub, or even if you're going for food, a lot of the food is in pubs or they call the bars over there. Yeah, it's just staying away from that situation.
So, like, the side of New York that there's something on that doesn't involve drinking every night, is that the thing in New York that you would bring back to Dublin? Because in Dublin we have a similar culture around what do you do on the weekend? You come to the pub.
Yeah, it's like, it's a bad situation. It's an alright situation to be in your early 20s because you're young, you're trying to find yourself. It gets boring after a while. It does get boring after a while, but it's still something that hooks you in, and especially if you're Irish, it's a culture. Like, everything we've done from forever is evolved around the pub. It's evolved around a few points, and I know for myself, because I'm trying to prolong my career now. As I said, I'm 31. If I go into the program, I'm 31 going into that game. Alcohol has to be something that I just completely knock out of my life for the next 5 years, because I'm about adding years onto my career now. If I'm drinking, I've maybe 2 to 3 years left in the sport. If I'm not drinking, if I'm eating correct, sleeping right, doing all the little things, I can go on until I'm 37. Spike O'Sullivan, an Irish middleweight boxer, he's fighting for a world title on May the 28th. He's 37 years of age. So they're the people that I'm looking at now, the likes of him, Eric Donovan. I don't know if Spike drinks or not, but I know Eric doesn't drink. He's heading for a European title sometime this year. He's 37 years of age. He's someone that I'm looking up to. I'm not actually getting in touch with him now. He's fighting on May 14th, so I'll wait until after his fight. I'll get in touch with him just to try to get a little bit of advice on how he's prolonged his career. Because that's what I want to do, and there's no better way of getting advice and information on this than actually going to the people that's done it.
You mentioned there as well that, like, the food options in New York, and I'd say that's as much of a challenge saying no to that. Do you do a lot of cooking yourself then, or do you get in meals? Have you tried to take control of that part of your recovery and that part of kind of your athleticism, I suppose, as well?
So in Ireland, I do all my own cooking. When, like, I could still go back to the national team. I haven't closed the door on that. When you're with the national team, you get all your meals. And that's great because you don't have to worry about cooking. Even though cooking doesn't take that long, it's a stress or something. When you're an elite sportsman, it's just an added stress on your life. if you're cooking at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's probably an hour a day, like preparing and cooking. So that's great with yours, you don't have to do that. Away from yours, yeah, I do my own cooking, but I eat the same thing every day, so it's just like, again, it's your routine, so it doesn't bother you that much. But in New York, the food quality, even like when you do your own shopping, the food quality is terrible.
Is it bad, yeah?
Oh, it's terrible, yeah. So I bought like 2 peppers, and as I said, I was drinking a lot of this, I was eating out a lot. I never used the peppers, but I took them out of the fridge a month later, and they were still fresh. And I was like, that's not right. There's no way that's right. And it's just like, what's in this? Like, and
they were probably 25 quid for 2 of them as well. Like.
It's expensive. Like 3 chicken fillets with $9, and these are just average chicken fillets.
Smaller probably than ones here.
Like the Greek yogurt there of Lidl, it's for 500 grams. Say it's like 180 or something. Over there was $8.
Madness.
So it's more than 4.
And the quality is probably not as good either, as you say.
It's not as good, and then the chicken is like rubber. It's terrible.
So when you come home here now and you get mom's cooking and all, do you appreciate it way more?
It feels so great. But if I do go back to New York, I'm going to try to get food prep homey that have high quality food, because you don't want to be eating that. And I talked to a girl, she was at a wedding, she's from New York, she came home for a wedding here about 10 days, and first thing she said was, how good is the food in Ireland? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, like, the chicken over in America tastes like rubber compared to back home. And that's exactly what I felt. Like, there's obviously, in Ireland, we obviously have a high grade of food, I'm guessing, compared to what they have over there.
They import a lot of it as well, like, and they can get away with a lot of things.
Yeah,
like in
terms we have high regulations. That's what I'm trying to get across. I'd imagine the regulations over there are nowhere near what they are now.
There's so many people over there as well. They're just trying to make as much as they possibly can. Like,
I couldn't get me brain around how bad the field was.
Does it affect your training at all, or did it initially before you took control of it?
Not noticeable, but like, again, I was eating out a lot. I probably didn't. In hindsight, looking back, I didn't do America the way I'd set out to do. As I said, I drank a lot, I ate out a lot, I didn't get the shoulder the best recovery that I needed. So that's the advantage of being home now. I can just, you've done a lot of things wrong the first part of your rehab. Now you have no chances left. You have to do everything perfect. And
are you going to do the rest of the rehab program here, or are you potentially going to go back then after the rehab's finished?
So I want to see how the shoulder goes over the next 4 weeks. I'm going to try to see the specialist next week. I want to get, because I'm coming up.
Can you hit the bag yet?
No.
That must be so annoying.
I do a little bit of shadow box, and again, that's down to me probably not doing the best rehab program while I was in America. So I'm going to go see the specialist now next week. I'm hoping he just says, because this fella, he's probably the best in Europe. He's very, very good. He's out in Santi Sports kind of. I'm hoping he just says, look, you F things up a little bit. Yeah, rehab's going to be a little bit slower. Keep going with what you're doing. Or you might say about cortisone injections.
But you know what? The good part of what you're saying and your perspective that you're delivering here is, you know, that you haven't given it the care that it needs, but you're also being fairly rational in your approach to getting back there. That, as you said, you're only training once a day at the moment, and you're increasing your frequency and your volume gradually.
Yeah, so I've studied strength and conditioning myself, and now I've still a year and a half to go. I have to go back to it, but just having that little bit of information. If I didn't have that information, I'd be going flat to the mat now.
You're a bit more patient.
Yeah, you're a bit more patient, and you can, as you say, the rationale is a little bit better. You've a little bit more knowledge of the body and how it works and how it tolerates and sort of the adaptation that you take on. So if I didn't have that little bit of knowledge, I'd probably be going home right now. And even the likes of running, you're still moving the shoulder. Yeah, I'd probably be doing a lot worse than what I should be.
Would you recommend that to other athletes, that they should at least, they don't need to know it all, but they should have a grasp of what they're doing?
Oh I definitely think so, yeah, because even in terms of most athletes, no matter what sport it is, they go on to end up coaching in that sport. And a lot of your coaching philosophy comes from the coaches that you had before you.
Absolutely.
Whether you say it does or doesn't, it's I'd imagine it's proven that your previous coach's philosophy rubs off on you.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was younger, growing up, again, probably not to the coaches' fault, because they were looking at the coaches before them, and coaches in the 80s and 90s just graft, walk 100.
You can curse somewhere.
Yeah, can I? Walk 110%, do wherever you can, and just, it was just low, run. And that's what I done growing up with, from maybe 10 to 20, and now my whole philosophy is completely different than that. Like, it's just
do what's necessary.
Yeah, do what's necessary. Like, even for a boxer, yeah, running does help, but you don't have to run.
No.
Especially if you have lower limb problems. You solve by.
It's the job.
Yeah, just the job.
If you don't have one in your sitting room, like, you can go to the gym and get one.
But like, it's just like, I have a completely different philosophy on training and exercise. And back to the question, I probably wouldn't have gotten that if I didn't go to Stanford. I didn't study strength and conditioning. I didn't do a personal training course and stuff like that. And then when I went to coaching, I probably would have been putting. You would have been just run, go. My boxes coming up when I do go into coaching would have been exactly what I done as a kid. But now that I have that knowledge, I think I'm going to be even a better coach than what I would have been. I think I'll be a very, very good coach, and I don't think I would have been that good of a coach without that knowledge of the strength and conditioning background. I think you're a bit ahead of the game in that, because I still have spoken to those older school kind of coaches who would still be of the opinion just more load all the time. And that does work to an extent, but you probably run out of the benefit of that with not the elite of the elite, but the lads below that. You stop getting the gains from doing that once you've done that for a certain amount of time, if you get me. Yeah, and I think you'll have a shortcut career. Yeah, I definitely think like you'll peak a little bit earlier and you'll burn out a little bit earlier and you'll retire. Probably, if I had continued the way I was going, I'd be retired by now, I reckon. Do you reckon? Yeah. Like, yeah, 100%. So when did this kind of take hold? When did you decide, look, I need to just peel it back, do more lower intensity kind of stuff as well as the high intensity stuff? I suppose like I stopped boxing from like 23 and then I came back at 25, and I've always suffered with injuries, and that would have been from just too much load, too quick, and your body not being able to adapt to the load. And I was sort of studying fitness and the body and strength and conditioning, not in a formal or in an educational system at the time. I was just doing research on the internet, and I realised my body wasn't able for the load. So it was just about coming up with some sort of system where I could get maybe the minimum effective dose, and just get enough load that I can progress without taking too much toll on the body. And yeah, like, I think like, mate, you are a strength and conditioning coach's dream, so yeah, as an athlete, like, because you understand that, but not a lot of boxers do. Not a lot of sportsmen do. Sports people. Yeah. In terms of longevity, you gotta look after your body. As I said, I'm looking to stay in this game to 35 to 37. So, yeah, for me, it's all about longevity at the moment. I just love that. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, in terms of your strength and conditioning coaching, so like, I suppose like one of the biggest factors that strength and conditioning coach has to take in is communication. Yeah. Like, if you have someone that's me and he's looking at longevity, but you don't really have to communicate. Well, you do, but not as much. But then if you have someone that's in that old school mentality, you have to some way get across to him that, okay, look, what you're doing is okay, it'll get you to this point, but when you get to here, you're probably going to burn out. Yeah. You stop playing Gaelic or hurling or soccer or whatever it is by 31. Your joints, tendons, ligaments, they can't take this load for that amount of time.
But I think the communication is less with you because you've actually gone out and sought that information.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of athletes don't understand that if you have a question or you want to understand something, go to your coach and ask them. They're happy to explain it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, most athletes would have come from this old school coach who was probably the person they looked up to. They were one of the first coaches from maybe 8 to 16. So that's driven into them. You're not going to get that out of them in one conversation. It's probably something that'll have to take time, and you have to experiment with them and maybe do new training systems, and then they might see the benefits, they might not. You might never get through to them. And that's all right, because you can't get through to everyone, but if you can get through to one or two people in the team, and you will get through to a few, especially if you can show them results. Results speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
And people can take stuff from that.
But on the positives to the coaching that you've got when you were, or that you received when you were younger, like it obviously developed a real growth for like hard work and like just putting in the effort, and putting the hours in.
It wasn't bad coaching there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were in the best club at the time. In the best club in Ireland, St. Saviour's. It was a great club, and they met for working. So it wasn't bad coaching. It's just that like boxing,
it was just what was there at the time.
There at the time, boxing moves and cycles. Like it's never so like especially in amateur boxing, the scoring system changes. So it's not always at the time it was point scoring. Now it's like round by round scoring. So it's a completely different sport than what it was when I was boxing since age.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't necessarily wrong.
Was that difficult for you, or were you happy with that change to amateur boxing during your development, in that they changed the rules, they changed the scoring system, like the headgear, everything? Like,
I was very, very lucky that I was a great coach. So I actually used to be a counter puncher, which was mad. Like, you have to look at me boxing now and say.
But that means you're adaptable as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So like the scoring changed from point scoring. So the point scoring used to be mostly counter punchers would win. So they jab, move, jab again. They were scoring. You could literally if you tap someone, you get a point.
Just have to be clean, really.
You just have to be clean and move, catch them again and move. It wasn't a bad system, but it didn't really score the aggressor. Yeah. It's just whoever was fast and whoever was the counter puncher. And then I think it must have been about.
I think it was Mick Conlon's second Olympics, maybe.
Yeah, it changed. But it changed a little bit before that. And I remember my coach was like, look, they're scoring the aggressor now. What they're doing is not going to work. They changed it before that. So
was it London?
Yeah, no, it used to be literally you got a score for just having someone, and then they changed it. It was still scoring punches. It was still at points.
But all the judges had to
but they were only scoring clean punches. Okay. So it wasn't the taps of scoring. And so you used to have fights that were getting scored like 30, 35, and now the score was like 7 points to 5. There's a lot. You had to catch them really, really clean, so you had to be aggressive. They weren't really scoring the counter puncher. And my coach picked up on this. He was like, look, you got to change the game, but you're not going to do it overnight.
Yeah, it's a process.
It'll be a process, and that's and then the scoring changed again to 10-9s from the judges. And I just changed literally from a counter puncher into an aggressive fighter. But like if you're looking at me from the outside and you don't know boxing, you're saying this fella's just a brawler. But everything what I do is educated. It's
based on the scenario.
Based on aggression, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot about defense. There's a lot about stalking the boxer down, making him tired. I won't go too much into it.
Don't give away.
I'll have a chat with you after. But what I do is very, very good. And if I went to professional boxing, that style is suited for it. And I think I'm going to take a lot of people out.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because obviously when you're aggressive and you're coming forward, and in professional boxing, we were just talking about matchups, they might not do it initially, but eventually you'll be paired up with someone that's a clear contrast to your style and is a big puncher too, an aggressor. Do you think like you'll be well able, because of that background now, to adapt between styles and go from, say, being the aggressor on the front foot to being on the outside and being the counter puncher, if necessary.
Like because I had that old
experience
of when I was the coach on the national team, John Conlon. To say it must have been about 4 months before the qualifiers. He was like, "Look, you used to be a counter puncher. I've seen you when you're a counter puncher, and he's very good friends with your coach." He goes, "I know how Jimmy coaches people. You can counter punch, so it's going to come a time where you're going to need this." And I was fighting to qualify for the Olympics. I was just pure aggression, and then
I saw it.
I was winning the fight going into the last round, and the last round the ref took a point off me.
Saw it.
And I knew I was winning the fight.
You were pure raging as well.
I was raging because I felt it was low for me and he was throwing elbows. He should have gotten a point off.
Definitely.
He took a point off me. But this is where 20 years of experience, we talked about earlier on, I said everyone should be in a fight so they have that fight or flight and you can think when you're under pressure. I went back to John Conlon told me, you're gonna have to counter punch. So it's gonna come a point. And I knew this Swedish that was gonna come at me like fire because he had to win this round together.
He's throwing forearms at you and everything.
And I switched from an aggressive fighter to a counter puncher for the last minute and a half. And that's what qualified me for the Olympics. And that's just, for me, that's madness. Like, I spent the last 10 years become this aggressive fighter. And in the time that I needed to qualify for the Olympics, I changed to what I was for the first 10 years. And that came from good coaching. That came from John Conlon, just having that word in my ear saying, there's going to come a point where you need this. And that's something that just stuck with me. And like, it's just, at the time, I only thought about it after the fight. I was like, Jesus Christ, he probably qualified me for the Olympics. Because maybe if he hadn't said that, when the ref took that point off me, I would have gone at the other fella. But for whatever reason, as I said, experience and being in the game so long, I knew that he was coming at me. And I had the chance to use my counter punching experience and win the fight.
That's a characteristic of elite people in any endeavor. Like, they're able to adapt, they're adaptable to what scenario they're presented with, I guess. And that was something I wanted to ask you about, because we often hear, like, not just in boxing, but in sport, don't have a plan B, go in with plan A. And like, if you have a plan B, plan A will fail. But you have to have a couple of like plan A, plan B to be able to be adaptable. Even if you're not speaking about plan B and plan C, you have to be able to come up with them on the fly. So I wanted to ask you, when you're going into a fight, do you and your coaching team have specifically, this is the plan and this is what we're sticking to? Or do you ever say, this is what the plan is, but if they don't come at you with this, we will revert to this?
No, there'll always be a plan. So we will always, you have this thing called Darfish. It's basically, I can look at the opponent. It's
performance analysis, kind of.
So we analyse the opponent, we come up with a game plan before each fight, and we say, this is the game plan. So that'll be the game plan for the first round. And this is where you need a good coach, a coach that can see things and make changes on the spot. If it's not working, you go back to the corner. So you get, this isn't working. This is what we're going to do in this round. So you make changes in between the round. Because Zara and Ita, who's their head coach, like when we're fighting, it's almost like he's a PlayStation controller. You're listening to what he's saying outside, so you can adapt your own around. So you might go out with a game plan. But yeah, listening to him, he has a very distinct voice. He's from Georgia.
I've met him actually, he's a gentleman.
You can hear exactly what he's saying. So it's basically he's a controller. That's what it's like. So you might go out, the game plan might be to be an aggressor, and then you can hear counter backhand lead and hook. You're going to step back, backhand lead and hook. You're going to do what he tells you. And
there must be a lot of trust there then, is there, with your coaching team? Like, you have to have trust in your coaches.
Of course you have to trust your coaches. And look, you're on the national team, so they're very high caliber coaches. And then even with your club coaches, if you don't trust them, you're in the wrong club. But trust me, club coaches, they're the men that got me to the Olympics. They're the men that have guided me to where I am today, and I've a lot of trust in them. I learn a lot from them, not only in the ring. They give me a lot of advice on where my career is going to head after if I go into the professional ranks.
And you've spoken a lot about how your family have been good as well in support and in guidance too. Do they give you advice around what you're doing, or they kind of just leave it to yourself? Or just support you regardless?
Yeah, they support me. They give me, not that they give me advice, they try guide me, but they don't know a lot about the boxing world, so it's hard for them to, obviously they just want the best for me, and they want to make sure I don't get shafted, because professional game is it's a business, it's not a sport at the end of the day, it's about you're making someone money.
Does that worry you at all?
Well, I've been offered a contract and I didn't take it because I wasn't happy with it, and that's the
fair play to you.
That's the good thing about being
self-aware or aware of
what. The good thing about being 31 and a little bit older. Maybe if I was 4 or 5 years old, I would have seen this and would have gone, sign my life away the next 3 or 4 years. I wasn't happy with the contract. I didn't sign it. I went over with my coaches. They said, no, you work more than that. But yeah, back to the family, they're a huge support. And it's more the support and guidance they give you. They can't really give me guidance on professional or amateur boxing because they don't know about it. But they do everything to support. Like, I'm 31 and living in my house.
For now anyway.
Yeah, for now, like, near enough rent free. The amount of, like, when I was with the Irish team, say I wasn't getting my meals, my mad be cook me meals, they do want to help me out. And you need that. You need it, not even family, you're talking about like friends and I suppose your wider circle. They need to be people that you trust, and they need to be people that you're happy to be around, and people that support you. You don't need any negative influences when you're trying to get to the top of wherever it is, even if it's not sport, if it's your career or personal goals. You need to be surrounded by positivity. It only takes one weak link to knock you down.
Have you had to make that difficult decision a number of times then, when somebody in your circle isn't supporting you or isn't maybe giving you that positive or pushing you in that positive direction?
I wouldn't say I had to like get rid of anyone, but back to like your friends, like coming up the Olympics, I was socialising with them, but wasn't in the pub. So you just have to, like, it might not be negative people, it could be negative scenarios.
Yeah, environments.
So yeah, it was just like, you got to really knuckle down. Like, they said, this one my friend said, you're going to monk mode. So the only times I really heard him is like, maybe don't even go into the WhatsApp group, like maybe a message here or there, or they might see me every 3 or 4 weeks for a cup of coffee, but besides from that, I'm fully focused.
Do you enjoy doing that? When you're in it?
Yeah, because I'm literally the type of character I am, I'm all or nothing. So if I'm invested in boxing, I'm all in. That's why I'm sort of pulled away from the Satanta thing for the moment, because
it's not the time for it.
It's not the time. It'd be great for slipping a little bit as well. I was like, Jesus, it's not what I'm doing if I'm not getting the grades that I want. And then if I'm drinking, like in America, I'm all at it. If I'm not drinking, like I can go a year after drinking, won't really bother me. But if I'm on it, I'll drink for 3-4 weeks. I'll go out twice a week, I'll enjoy myself. But like now, as I said, I'm going to get in touch with Eric and try just knock that on the head for the next few years, because next 3 to 5 years can really set up the rest of my life. I can set up a profile for myself. I can get to maybe world title level. I can, back to New York. People are dying to get behind someone. I can sell series tickets over there. And it's not even about selling series tickets. It's about knowing like these people that's coming to me for you, and maybe networking with them, maybe setting up businesses that like this can go like so many roads that the next 3 or 5 years in my career can lead me to it. But if I'm out drinking and I'm out, of course, acting the bollocks. Yeah,
and bollocks isn't even a bad one at all.
If I'm out acting the bollocks, I can basically throw all them opportunities away. And so now I'm realising I threw so much opportunities away after the Olympics. Some from acting the bollocks, and then some from injury and not being able to make the best of the momentum, because I had a lot of momentum coming off that plane, and I threw away probably some serious opportunities. But now it's about hitting the ground running again, getting these opportunities back, and just like what I done for the Olympics. The doors were shut for me to make the Olympics. I should have never been an Olympian, but I kicked them doors down, and that's what the next few years of my life is about doing.
So it sounds like you look back now on the Olympic experience more favorably than you did, say, a year ago.
Yeah, like as I said, I should have never been an Olympian. I wasn't good enough to be an Olympian.
But hang on now, you always say that that people are more talented than you, but you outwork them.
So I said this before, like.
But you outworked them to that level, like.
Yeah, so
you were good enough.
Yeah, like I break talent down to three things: physical, mental, and technical. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I don't know if it is a thing. I've broken it down to that's what talent is. Technically, I'm not the best handler in the world. I have very, very good technique in my punches. Really, really good technique. A little bit slow. Probably lack a little bit of technical talent, but physical and mental I make up for it.
Okay, I get you.
So I'd rather be the one that I'd hate to have is mental talent. The one that I'd hate to not have is mental talent, because I think especially in boxing, as you said, it's fight or flight. I think there is sports psychologists do work, not so much in boxing. I don't think
you need the grit.
I think it's something that's born into you. I've been around some boxers that are technically very, very good, but they didn't have the mental talent. And I don't know if that's something that you can ever really get. Maybe in amateur boxing you can, because it's only 3-3-minute rounds, and it's not really about the grit, and it's not really about hurting people. Professional boxing is guts and glory. People want to see blood. They don't want to see someone tapping for 10 to 12 rounds. Whereas amateur boxing, you can get away with that, so you can. A sports psychologist can definitely help someone there, but it's hard to help someone over 12 rounds when like
they're in the shit.
They're in the shit, and like a sports psychologist can't get into the ring with you. Yeah. So I don't know if they work that well in professional boxing.
They might work in the process. So working on your process to your training and your process to how you're treating yourself and speaking about yourself, but maybe it's up to you once you get in the ring. That's what they always say.
Fight or flight or that's 12 rounds, I don't know. I just think, especially in boxing, like you could be on your feet in the 5th round. You have another 7 rounds to go. I don't think the sports psychologist is going to help you there. I think it comes down to the character of who you are, because that's 7 long rounds.
But saying that, the more you expose yourself to that, the better you get at doing it.
They definitely can help, but I don't think they'll.
But in terms of boxing experience, like as you said, you had the experience before. So if you're a young athlete and you haven't got that experience and you get rocked in the 5th, it might be harder for you to keep going the whole way through, rather than if you yourself have been in those wars previously, like, I can stay going here. I've done it before.
Again, I think if you didn't do it the first time, for me,
you're not going to do it.
I just think it's built into in boxing. Now look, there can be circumstances where they do change, but for me, I just think it's a character. It's your DNA. It's who you are. And you'll see in boxing time and time again, people walk away from fights, or they'll take the easy route out, whereas you might have another person that just go out in a shield, and he doesn't, like, the only way of getting them out there is if the ref jumps in or the corner throws in the towel, which sometimes isn't the best choice either, because they're taking trauma to the brain.
Well, there was a couple of fights in last year that probably should have been stopped earlier.
I've looked at some referees and I'm like, you've been 4 or 5 seconds slow there, where boxers are taking.
But at the same time, in the Conlon fight, most recent one, lots of people calling for that to be stopped earlier. Conlon goes and ends up getting rocked by 1 punch, and it's over. Like, so you can come from anywhere, like, to win a fight. Really, it's a fight.
That's the exciting thing about boxing. Like, it's you always have a puncher's chance if you can punch. And I think the Conlons knew going into the fight that Lee Wood wasn't the best fighter in the world, but he hasn't punched him. And it's the Taylor
Serrano thing too, isn't it? Like, Taylor's out on her feet.
out on her feet, she comes back. But women's boxing is a bit different because they can't punch, but it's 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this before.
2-minute rounds, and women, they can't fight, but they don't exert as much force. So
yeah.
You don't get as much one-punch knockouts.
Do you think if they increased it to 3-minute rounds, you would get more though?
Yeah, you definitely get a lot more, but I think it'd be through maybe fatigue.
Yeah, I get you.
But there is obviously one-punch knockouts. Girls can knock them out. They just doesn't happen as much as it happens in the men's game. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's.
Do you think they will move towards 3-minute rounds eventually?
Oh yeah, eventually they will. They're already calling for it. Yeah, because I don't know. There's something to do with the brain. That's why they don't do it.
The skull, is it?
Yeah, I don't know exactly the reason behind it, but eventually there'll be so many people calling for it. It's inevitable.
Still a new sport, really.
It's
relatively in comparison to other sports.
I know it's a new sport. Like the quality right now in women's boxing isn't great.
But well, except for at the elite level.
No, like at the elite level it is great, but the volume.
I get you.
Quality isn't great, but in 20 years, like the volume is going to be similar to what it is in men's. Because I think in amateur boxing in Ireland, I mean, it's only 20 years old, so that's a brand new sport.
That's
when
nuts.
you think about it. So it's only going to get better and better and better. And even look at the Irish amateur women's team, like they're flying at the moment, and they got in early. They realised, look, this is something that we can throw money into, and we can treat these the same as we treat men, and it's paying off for them because they're seriously hard trainers and they deserve everything they get. So
it's probably a case that the more participation there is, then the more elite athletes will come out.
Of course, like as I said, it's a new sport, so
that's why the Taylor thing is great to see them at that level, like for young girls.
I can only imagine like that's going to get more and more women into the sport, and what a spectacle for that. Like that could have been like, imagine if that was a boring fight, the atmosphere was terrible. It wouldn't look that great on women's boxing or whatever you want to call it, but probably fight of the year contender.
Definitely.
I don't think there's been a better atmosphere at any fight ever. I haven't experienced a better atmosphere than that. And I actually think if you come to Croke Park, you won't get a better atmosphere. Because
it's open.
It's open. This Madison Square Garden, you fit 20,000 people into it, but it's small. It's a low enough roof. I can't explain it. It's unexplainable, the atmosphere. It's something that I'll never experience again. The fight was so good and it was so close, and that made it, when Taylor won, that made it that much more special. But
like New York is New York, okay, but if we're not just focused on the atmosphere in the stadium, imagine town that weekend.
She has to have a homecoming when she's going to fight again. I think if it's not, the thing is, the time about October, you can't have a fight in Croke Park. Like, I don't know how much million it costs.
We'll roof it.
I don't know how much million it costs to set up a fight. I'm guessing it's a lot of money. Yeah. They're not going to throw that much money into it, and then there's a chance that's rained off. And you've been to Croke Park, you can cover the rain, but the rain doesn't come straight down Croke Park. It blows across, and you never know which way it's going to blow across. So I don't know how you combat that. If the rain does happen, that's a lot. And you don't want them to step back into the ring too early as well for their own sake. So they're saying September is too early. Even September in Ireland. You could get the nicest day. Hey man, next week, like we don't know what's happening. Could get the nicest day of the year, and it could get completely rained off. And like, imagine like the rain was flooded. Like that could be a possibility. So we'll call off a GA match though. But Eddie Hearn's a businessman. I could not see him putting that much money into something, and there's a possibility of it getting rained off. The thing that I was thinking of, and this is probably a stupid scenario, it's only across the water, Cardiff Stadium. Yeah, they have a roof on it. Yeah. It's literally probably Dublin to Cardiff on a plane, it's probably 20 minutes. On the boat, it's 2 hours.
And Jake Paul should pay for everyone's boat fare over.
Yeah, should do. And then you could have a homecoming the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something that could be a possibility.
Definitely.
Whether we go with that or not.
Whether Cardiff would take that many Irish people.
Well, it's money, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Look, that won't happen.
No.
That is another possibility. Because you want to have it. She is the greatest athlete we've ever had.
Definitely.
For her not to fight in Ireland, she never even got a home. Well, she got a home from after the Olympics. I was there for it. That was unbelievable. But she never got a home from after winning the world title. To me, like, she's so humble. A great sportswoman. Probably done a lot for the next generation of not only women but young boys coming.
And not only boxing.
Not only boxing. How she never got like a homecoming on O'Connell Street at Phoenix Park, I don't know. But a little bit of luck, she can fight in the country at least, and then she'll get a homecoming after that. Please
God, hopefully. But before we move on to quickfire questions, I just wanted to ask you, because we've talked a lot about taking opportunities and the opportunity that presents itself to you next. I'm not going to ask you financials now, but in terms of the contract that you're looking for in pro boxing or the matchup that you're looking for, are you looking for a multiple fight contract? Are you looking for a certain type of fighter to fight? Or what would put it together for you? And after you're rehabbed, get back into
the contract, I'm looking for something that is worth something in 2 or 3 years when I'm getting up to title contention. I'm not going to sign something. I'm not going to sign my life away about 3 years. That's not really worth it financially. Obviously at the start, they're not going to make great money, but you need something that has potential in it, that if you do really, really good in terms of ticket sales or getting up to world title contention, that's financially worth it for you. In terms of matchup, the first year for me is going to be testing shoulder. So it won't be against great opposition. And this is completely against what I said about professional boxing. I was like, I'm going to have 3 or 4 easy enough fights, and then I'm going straight into the deep end. But I'm coming off a year layoff. So the first year for me, depending how good the sponsors I get, because if I'm actually fighting someone that's a journeyman, I have to pay him. And I'm probably going to have to pay the guy on the show as well, depending if it's a TV show or it's just an average run-the-mill show. So it could cost me $2.5 grand to fight in the show.
That's nuts, man.
It's crazy, yeah. But that's only if I'm fighting on a really, really bad show. But I want to test the shoulder before I go into deep water. So I'm looking to get to 8-0 the first year if I go professional. And that'll cost me the guts of maybe 16,000. So I need a good sponsor on board for that. Now, if that's in New York, I'll be fine because I'll be selling lots of tickets and that'll pay for itself. But I think I'll probably have to go down to maybe not South America, but South, like the likes of Florida and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just to get a few fights, just to test the shoulder out more than anything. And it's not even about, and then you're building a record as well. But within 18 months, I want to be 10-0, and then within maybe 2 to 3 years, I want to be breaking into the top 15 in the world. That's the plan for me. And then once you're in top 15, you've got some serious fights ahead of you. You can fight anyone. That's where I want to be. But for the first year, it's testing the shoulders, and then you're into deep waters. Look, my age is against me, so I'm going to have to take a chance within 18 months. Then I'm going to be calling out people that's ahead of me, trying to go on maybe a match round show, a top ranked show against one-day contenders. And that's where you're going to shock the world. They're going to take one of them out.
Man, big respect. I love that you're like speaking it into existence. Like you're saying exactly what you want to do.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going into professional boxing. If I do go into it, I'm not going into it blind. I know my age. I know what's ahead of me. You'd be stupid to go in with just naive. And again, there's so much negatives about being 31 going into professional boxing, but there's also so much positives. Because you know who you are, you know what you want, you know your worth. And it's about me delivering on that now. And that's about where we went before, living the correct lifestyle, staying away from the party and eating right, sleeping right, drinking enough water, all the little small things, they add up and they accumulate day by day. And then if you're doing that for a year, like you'll be 3-4 times the athlete that I was today.
A lot of compounding returns, as we said, mate.
It's compounding returns. And that's actually what got me to the Olympics. So when I talked about, I came back when I was 25 and I had to have a look at myself because I didn't reach my potential before. And I was like, why didn't I reach my potential? I looked at like, so in between fights, so not that I blow up, but I'd be out and enjoy myself with the lads. I wasn't really eating great, so then I was like, what a great fight is doing. Like, there's not, like, people ask me, how do you get the Olympics? It was the small things. Well, I just said there, eating right, sleeping right.
They don't want to hear that, though, don't they?
No one wants to hear that. They want this crazy, what really got you there? You must have been running 12 miles a day, or you must have been on some mad diet. They want to hear the mad stuff. Like, no matter what it is in life, it's the little small things. Like, I train a few clients online, and what I try to tell them is the same thing. Like, how do we do this? Small things. Wake up an hour early. Well, you get out of bed at 9, for about 7:30, do a little bit of mobility in the morning, maybe read a book, make sure you start off with water. Small little things that they never do. They maybe go up at 9 o'clock, grab a cereal bar, walk out the door, straight to work, start binging by 11 or 12. Little small things, they add up over time, they become habits. That's probably what got me to the Olympics.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it all happen again for you.
So I've gone off that. And when I come back from New York, I was like, look, I've done this before. I'm in the same situation as I was when I came back to boxing 25. Go back to a notepad, look at these small things, and let's go get the ground running again.
That's experience for you.
Yeah, it's experience. And look, it works.
It does. And that's a powerful message for everybody. But the last thing we're going to do is quick fire questions. The first one is proudest achievement to date.
Getting to the Olympics. Yeah, getting to the Olympics was the proudest thing. So obviously the interview after, I was crying, and I think the whole thing was, so the Olympics was supposed to be in 2020. A month before the qualifiers, my father had a heart attack, and it was actually cardiac arrest. Only 3% of people survive it outside of the hospital situation. I'm coming to the biggest moment of my life, and we go into the hospital. My father's basically dead. He's choked down his neck, but he survives it, and he changes his whole life around. And then the Olympics get called off till the year after. Then 6 months before the Olympics, I get COVID. The qualifiers were supposed to be in March. I got COVID in January. So I was like, I'm after giving up everything. I've trained throughout lockdown and come through my father and having a heart attack. Like, this is just not meant to be. But I'm going to keep on giving it everything. I'll get it over the line. I'll qualify somehow. Then COVID got a little bit worse, and they called the qualifiers off till June. It's like, this is meant to be, I'm going to do it. Then I get 2 elbow injuries, shoulder injury. I can't spar from the qualifiers were in June. I got 1 spar between March and June. And that was the week before the qualifiers. Sorry, I got 2 spars the week before the qualifiers.
Yeah, but you can count them on one hand, yeah. That's the thing.
I got 3 weeks before the qualifiers, I got an injection in my elbow, an injection in my shoulder, and I wasn't out training for 10 days. So I'm 21 days out from the Olympic qualifiers, and I can't train for 10 days. I was just on the bike cycle, that's all I could do. Do a little bit of mobility. I could do like a little bit of leg work. And then I got 2 spars from 11 days out. So literally everything was stacked against me. Then I qualify, and then the 4th spar back, I get a rib injury. So I can't train again. Now, this is what I've given up my whole life to get here. So I can't train from the qualifiers to the Olympics. I didn't get 1 spar, I got 1 round spar. Then in the camp before it, I got like 3 round spars with 2 of the girls. That's the only spar I got before the Olympics. So like that whole emotion coming out after was literally, I'm after getting to the biggest moment in my life. I gave up so much. I came back to the sport at 30 years of age, and I didn't get the shot that I wanted. I got like 30% of myself for the fight. And that's probably where the whole emotion came. It wasn't that I got beaten. Well, yeah, it was. I got beaten, but I didn't get a fair crack at the whip. And yeah.
But at the same time, you have to see it as like, look how far you went with all of those setbacks.
Looking back at it, I shouldn't have been in there.
No.
So it was special to get there, but yeah, the whole interview was just probably frustration of I'm here and I wish I could have 100% of myself, but that's life.
It's a mad environment as well, though, like with the COVID situation and all the rooming, and you could go outside and all, but you couldn't really have any bit of crack.
Obviously, I've never been to the Olympics before, so I didn't have anything to
compare it to,
but it still wasn't what I expected from the games, but it was an experience.
Yeah, and it went ahead as well.
Yeah, it went ahead. It's in the back.
And you have the tattoo and that.
Tattoo over. So yeah, there's a lot of positives to take to it. But besides not having 100% myself, there's no negatives.
Yeah, deadly, man. Next one is favorite athlete of all time.
Roy Keane. Yeah, grew up loving him. I was Manchester United mad as a kid. I can remember actually Juventus. Yeah, it was Juventus. He got sent off.
98.
Sorry, he got yellow. He got a yellow card, and the shift he put in after that, knowing he wasn't going to be in the final.
Scored a goal, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored a goal. He basically got into the final, and knowing he wasn't going to be there, that just shows serious character. And even now, he's funny as a pundit.
That's great.
Yeah, he's probably been the biggest influence of, because before I went boxing, I was a footballer. I played football from like 5 to 15. And he was the person that I always, when they're kicking the ball out on the street, I always thought was Roy Keane. Love him. I
love him as well. I think he's the man. I think his mental approach to competition is what I love. And it comes across in his punditry as well. He just has no time for excuses and
no time about bullshit. Exactly what he says on the thing. That's why he's not a good manager. I think the difference in football now compared to 20 years ago, it's night and day. Too much player power, too much social media messing about, and players won't take that anymore. It's unfortunate, because at the end of the day, they're employers to a football team, whether they believe that or not, but that's what they are, and they don't always do that job.
Mate, I had this idea when the United job was up for grabs before Anya came in, and I said they should give Keno the job till the end of the season before they get their proper manager, but go in with Netflix or Amazon Prime or something and record the whole thing. You make serious money, and we just get to watch what occurs. And as well as that, he's always given out that the players have the player power and they have the social media and they want to sell their sponsorships and all that. You're on Netflix, you're on Amazon Prime, sell it away.
Yeah, if you've gone after a week,
I'd be gassed. Yeah. Okay, next one is artists you've been listening to a lot recently.
We've been listening to a lot of the Dubliners. We've been listening to a lot of Irish music just because I've been in New York.
Yeah.
Been listening to a lot of Dubliners, a little bit of Dermot Kennedy. One of the lads actually played football with him in New York.
With Dermot Kennedy?
Yeah, so he was living over there for 3 months. We made roads, he was playing with I think it's the Queen Shamrocks or something Shamrocks, but Dermot Kennedy was playing with him, yeah.
That's
he's a very sound lad. He only brought a song up the other day, it's very good.
I was thinking you meant Dermot Kennedy. He wasn't playing football with Ronnie Drew over this day.
No, he's been with Rhodes, he's been playing him, and he's a good footballer. Yeah. He's solid. Yeah, and Rhodes says he's just like talking. Just normal lad. Been listening to him, bit of Dubliners. Who else have been listening to? I think that's about it.
Dubliners getting you hyped up for the Katie fight, and everybody was probably listening to all those tunes over there.
Good. So we went to an Irish pub before, Jack Diamonds in New York, and they had the ballads on, and then we got control of the
playlist.
Playlist, yeah. It's just rocking the Irish tunes. It was a good day.
Who's playing you in the movie?
Who's playing me in the movie? Do you know what? I I can't even answer that because I don't look at films. I don't look at telly. The lads keep on telling me, "Oh, Mary, have a look at this, have a look at that." Like, I don't look at telly. I don't know any actors, but Barry Keoghan from my
There you go, Barry will play
it.
He'd have to put on a bit of size though.
Yeah, bit of height. Yeah, I don't look at telly.
He's been supporting you though as well, hasn't he?
He has. He's trying to get me on the show. Another amazing person that's still behind the joke. I think that's the biggest role in film, probably. I don't know, because I don't know much about it. Probably that or the Marvels, has he been the Marvels?
I think he has been, yeah.
They're probably
but they're the biggest selling films,
yeah,
like, you know.
Like, I don't know much, but I know them. Just from where he's come, I think he's being fostered as a kid, and he's just shown so much people in the inner city that your circumstances don't initially depend on where you're going to end up.
It's mad they're going to change it to not the Joker, they're going to call it the Messer. Nah, I'm joking. I'm messing. Have you been reading any books lately other than the S&C, well, or anything at all? Do you have time, really? You probably don't. Like,
I've lots of times, you know. I have to get back into reading because it does help with my mind. I've just, as I said, I'm all or nothing.
Yeah.
And if I'm not reading books, I'm not reading.
I'll give you one of these.
I brought them over to New York with me. I actually brought Rich Dad Poor Dad, is it?
Yeah.
I brought that, and I brought the High Performance book.
Yeah, I haven't read it. Yeah.
I have that. I didn't read them. I read like 2 pages.
That Rich Dad Poor Dad is hard to get through as well. So like,
yeah, but that High Performance one looks very good.
Yeah.
I am gonna start when I get home. A lad gave it to me a few months ago, and yeah, I'm all or nothing.
All about the Benjamins.
Yeah, if I start reading that, I'll probably read 5 or 6 books over the next few months, but it's just starting off.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing you've learned in the last 12 months?
The biggest thing I've learned is no matter how hard you work for something, you don't always get what you want. So that's back to the Olympics. I've got 20 years to get there. And this is about resilience and being adaptive. I spent 20 years to get to the top of the game, and I got there, but I didn't get the result I wanted, and I didn't get it through lack of hard work or lack of trying. I got it because maybe my preparation wasn't the best, because my body wasn't in the best shape. So things aren't always going to go your way. And this is something that I learned through the last 10 months. I should have been better after the Olympics. I shouldn't have been letting that situation probably have a negative impact on my life. I should have probably gritted the teeth a little bit more and digging in. But that's experience, and if that ever happens again, and it probably will happen again, it could happen. I could be fighting for a world title in 4 years and it doesn't go my way, or my body gives up, or whatever it is. It's how I react after that. Don't let negative circumstances take control of your life.
And then what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
I would have knuckled him down a lot earlier in life. So I don't know whether it's maturity of being a boy, or they always say men are a lot less mature than women, because in school I didn't care about my leaving cert. Got like 90 points in leaving cert, which is absolutely terrible.
It's more than me out, lad.
It's terrible. But like, I wasn't studying from the cert. I was like bunking off school to go to the gym to train for boxing. It wasn't like, not necessarily bad. I wasn't bunking off to go home. I'd literally come in with my gear bag. I'd come to like maybe 10 o'clock. I'd run out, jump over the railings, bag on me, run up to Westwood, train for 2 or 3 hours, come back down, go to school. I would have knuckled down a lot earlier in life, as I'm going back to do a degree in strength and conditioning. I could have had that out of the way by 21, 22. I could have been into the strength and conditioning world already. I would have knuckled down. I would have trying to create a career path for myself a lot earlier in life, because I wasn't 25 until I knuckled down. I ended up in a job that I hated at 22. I done that to 25, and left that, basically financed the next 5 years of my life to boxing. which took a big toll on me, on myself physically. I wasn't up and down a lot, like still in life.
A lot of powerful messages there for young people throughout the podcast. Emmet, thanks a million. Great conversation. Loved it.
Loved it.